in favor, say aye. No, don't say aye. Just nod. So once again, I apologize that there's this dirt on my screen. I don't know how it got there. If you can't hear, don't certainly check your volume and check that all the volume is up. But if you still can't hear, then just type in the chat that I can't hear. And we, as we said, are recording it, and and when it's done recording, I will embed the recording onto that page. Very cool. Excuse me. Oh my, I wonder if anybody here can see me. Let me find myself here. Yeah, I like to be able to see myself just in case. And I wish that I could figure out. One second. We can. Oh, this 1 second. 1 second. More. 1 second. I don't want to hide. I want to unhide them. But better not do anything. No, I'm okay. I see it all. So, like I said, we're recording. Welcome to the Root Source Virtual Model Seder. I am Gideon Ariel. My wife, Devra, is also here, and she will be participating a lot more than you might think. I am the CEO of Root Source, and I'm also an Orthodox Jew. This was written, excuse me, way back when we started Root Source. I dug deep into the archives of Root Source to find these slides, and this is how we roll. It says here that I live in Judea, Israel. Since then, I've upgraded how I claim that I live, and I live in Hebron in Judea. I live right near Hebron where King David lived, and of course with my family and Deborah, my wife. So and Root Source, for those of you, if there's anyone right now on the live presentation who doesn't know about Root Source, and certainly people who afterwards stumbled upon this presentation and are listening to it, Root Source is an online, a primarily online platform for Israeli Jews and Christians worldwide to engage with each other and to study the sources that we share, mostly the Torah, but also Jewish history and Hebrew and women in the Bible. And you want it, we'll try to teach it. We help Christians connect with the people, land, and culture of Israel. Is before we decided what our slogan is, but we still believe in that. And that's not working. I got to go like this. Yes. And the reason that Root Source exists is in order to bridge the gap between Christians and Jews, because we believe that a gulf has separated us for far too long. That in the middle is an image of a gulf, for those of you who live in landlocked cities. And we are trying to bridge that gulf. Please try to stay on the webinar till the end. What is going on? I'm trying to figure out how many people are already here, and the answer is 35. Very nice. So let us continue. Today, what we can expect, first of all, we'll give a short introduction to Passover, and then we will start going through the actual things that we do on Passover.
Sit up here, Jimmy.
Somebody is not silenced, but now they are. Afterwards, we will talk, after the short introduction, like I said, we will begin talking about the specifics of Passover, cleaning for Hametz. Hametz is unleavened bread and all sorts of leavened products. I'm sorry, Hametz, of course, is leavened bread. Matzah is the unleavened bread that we bring in once we're done cleaning. Burning of the Hametz is a ritual that we will talk about when we get there. The Seder Table is set very carefully, and we will show that and discuss it as well. The Seder Plate is the focus, one of the foci, the focuses of the Seder Table. Afterwards, we will spend some time, a long time, going through the Haggadah, but first we will introduce the Haggadah. The Seder. That was my grocery delivery. Then we will go through the Simanim of the Seder. The Simanim, I guess, I should have tried to figure out how to translate that. Simanim are specifically, are most usually and translated as symbols or signs. Yeah, so these are the parts of the Seder that are symbolic. So we will be talking about them, and we will go through all of those Simanim. And these are the Simanim of the Seder. Kadeish, which means I will simply say the Hebrew word which I've written over here, and a single translation, but we will talk about it later when we get to them. Deborah, את יכולה אולי לסגור את הדלת פה? סליחה. Kadeish means sanctification. Urchatz is washing of the hands. Karpas is a kind of a vegetable. Yachatz means cutting in half. Maggid means to tell over, to tell the story. Rachtzah is again to wash your hands. I guess when the sages made up the Seder night of Passover, they had COVID-19 in mind. Motzi is the blessing that you make over bread, or in this case, matzah. And matzah, in fact, is the unleavened bread that we eat on Passover. And here we have a slide that didn't come out too good. I meant Maror to be number 9. So please pretend that that's what's going on over here. Maror is bitter herbs. Koreich is a sandwich. Shulchan Orech means a set table. That's when we finally get to eat. If you guys have been waiting now for about 13 minutes, hoping that we'd start to eat, and 13 minutes have passed, imagine how it's going to be in a real Seder. So it takes a while to eat on Seder night. Tzafun really means hidden, but it is often translated as dessert. Bareich means bless, to recite the blessing after meals, the grace after meals. Hallel means praise. It is a series of psalms. And Nirtzah means accepted, which means the end of the Seder night. And today we will review all of these together with all of these other introductory things that you can expect. And at the end, we will have some questions and shmoozing. Shmoozing means talking. But before we begin, I would like to try to find my friend and soon to be yours, Sydney Hewitt. I'm going to find you, Sydney. I'm going to unmute you, and I'm going to give you the spotlight. And I'm going to see if we can unshare. Yeah, and there you are. This is Sydney, and Sydney sounds like she's still muted, but we'll try to figure out how to unmute her if she can't figure out it herself.
Unmute.
Yofi, welcome, Sydney.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Shalom. Let me be the first one to say shalom to Gadon and Deborah and everyone involved with this special day for us, everyone gathered there. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to learn more about Passover as a Gentile, and to be part of this traditional Passover and to worship with you. It's a unique opportunity, and I really have looked forward to it. So thank you so much. As a member of the Root Source Advisory Board team, we're moving forward in exciting new programming that we've all been a part of. And so soon there will be more events like this one today for Christian partners of Root Source to learn more about the Moedim, or the set apart times of the Lord, the holy times. And this is going to help Christians grow in their faith. It's going to help us go deeper into the Jewishness of our faith. So I'm grateful. And so may I be the first one, Gadon, today to say that I want to sow into this new programming with a pledge from me to Root Source of $50 a month for the next year, month by month, starting with this month of Nisan. My pledge will begin. And I hope I'm one of many, many, many who are on board with you today, who will be led by the Spirit to support and be part of this wonderful new opportunity for Christians. So, shalom. Thank you. You can mute me.
Thank you very much. See if you can mute yourself because I can't see
Oh.
you. And I will now return. First of all, I want to thank Sydney, who hasn't figured out how to mute herself, but
Yeah, I'm trying.
But it's okay. You're quiet. Yeah. I would like to thank Sydney for, first of all, being a good friend and a good and a wonderful member of. I'm just gonna mute everybody. That'll do the trick. And also thank you very much, Sydney, for your a generous gift that you just pledged. We'll have more. We'll talk more about that later on. So let me get back to sharing. No, don't stop the live stream. Share. This is the share button. And here we go. So let's start with a short introduction to Passover. I would like to call on Deborah to give a short introduction from her perspective. You're unmuted, Deborah. Go for it.
Can everybody hear me? No.
Now can everybody hear me?
Awesome.
All right. Hey, Revis.
Hey.
All right. Passover, it's called the holiday of freedom. It's the holiday that really, it's the kickoff holiday, you could say, for the start of the Jewish people. The Jewish people went down to Egypt as a family, and they came out of Egypt as a nation. So this is a holiday, it's a spring holiday. It's a holiday of renewal. It's a holiday of freedom from oppression. We hope that it's a holiday that's going to give us freedom from the oppression of this terrible plague. It's a holiday of acknowledging God in the world, as I think all of our holidays are. We work on cleaning our homes, but what we're really working on is cleaning ourselves of the things that hold us back. And we come to the Passover Seder ready to connect with our Creator and our Father who took us out of Egypt. When we had a temple, of course, there was a special sacrifice on Passover, just as the lamb was sacrificed in Egypt before the Passover holiday. I'm sure some of you have heard about that. And we have a special sacrifice that when we merit having our third temple, then that sacrifice will return. And it's usually a very family oriented holiday, as you can see in this picture. Usually large extended family come together, or friends. It's usually a very full and bounteous table. Of course, this year, again, with the shadow of this virus hanging over us, our prime minister here in Israel made a kind of a pun, and instead of having the night of the Seder, we're having the night of the, in Hebrew, Seger, the closure, that we're having small, very, very small Seders. But our sages teach us that even if somebody is for some reason alone on the Seder night, he still or she still goes through the Haggadah book and celebrates the Seder and celebrates the Festival of Freedom. And back to you, Gidon.
Thank you, Deborah. I think I unmuted myself just in time, and I muted you just in time, or a second late. If anybody has any comments or questions, please, again, I'm repeating that you send them to everyone in the group chat. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of your group chats. If somebody sent a chat before and thinks that I should have responded or answered and I didn't, then please repeat that. So thank you, Deborah, for that introduction. The first thing that we think about, as Deborah mentioned, is cleaning our homes. And again, as Deborah mentioned, we try to connect to cleaning our insides as well, not just our outsides, as many people have quipped. It's more important what comes out of your mouth than what goes into your mouth. And of course, what comes out of your mouth is figuratively what comes out of your soul. So when you're cleaning for Hametz, you're cleaning for unleavened bread, leavened bread. I don't usually talk about these things in English. This is a picture, for example. I wonder if anybody can see my pointer. I doubt it, but this is a picture. It's a cartoon, but that's really what us fathers look like. You see, for about 2 or 3 weeks, the kids and the mothers are cleaning up and preparing, and then the night before Passover, the fathers show up with a candle and a feather and find a piece of bread that one of the children hid. And this cartoon shows how serious the father is, but on the other hand, it's making a little joke of the father. I understand as well. Thank you very much, Parthini, for saying that you can see my point. I'll try not to move it around too much. I will be happy to answer Revit's question. Thank you for typing it, Revit. Revis, excuse me. Deborah said that the third temple will arrive, that is, will be built when we merit it. So I have to ask what that means. What does when we merit it mean? So merit, so in Hebrew, it is more of a phrase, keshenizke, when we will, if you win a prize, then you have zachita. So we hope that we will be zakaim, will be deserving of the third temple coming around, because this of course is a little bit outside of the realm of this presentation, but just to give it for a moment, the fact that the redemption has not come yet, and I'm sorry, Revit, I'm going to keep on muting you. The fact that the redemption has not come yet, and a part of that redemption is the building of the construction of the third temple. So those things come together, and therefore whatever has not yet happened within the framework of redemption means that we have not yet merited it, and that is what it means.
Got it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Let me try to find how I can mute everyone. If you can do that, honey, please do. You're in charge of muting people. So we clean the house for a week or two. Unmute myself. Here I am again. We clean the house for a week or two before Passover. Some Jews are extremely stringent, and they start cleaning the house for about 52 weeks before Passover. But seriously, they once all the house is totally empty of Hametz, then we ritually burn the Hametz, which I'll show in the next slide, and then we are ready to bring out the Matzah that we are ready to eat. So here is the Matzah that we bring in. This Matzah on the right of the screen is square Matzah. Usually it's called machine Matzah because it is made by a machine through it with machines. The Matzah on the side, on the left side, which is much rounder, of course, is clearly handmade. And I'm going to try to put a link on the root-source.com/Seder later to show a video of people baking matzah before Passover, and that is what it looks like. Some people actually say that tastes better. Everyone's entitled to their tastes, but this is the matzah that we have. I just like to point out here, and thanks whoever told me that you can see the pointer. The word matzah and hametz, if you take off in the English, actually, it's even better. If you pull the AH over here and put it at the front, then you pretty much get the word hametz. Can anybody see that? In other words, the main letters of matzah are the M, I'll say them in English, or the mem in Hebrew, the tz, which is one letter in Hebrew, that's tzadi, and the hey at the end, which is a he, which is an h, which is a hey. There's only 3 consonants in the word. H in this case is a consonant. The first letter of the word Hametz is not a hey, but it's transliterated as an H, and they are related letters, and they almost sound the same. And then there's the mem again, and the tz, the tzadi again. So Hametz and Matzah are really 2 sides of the same coin. And if I may say a little Dvar Torah over here, just to raise it from just specifics, that is what we are commanded to do, to try to turn that chametz over, to turn the coin over, so we don't have chametz in ourselves, but we have matzah. And matzah, as we will talk about later on, if we have time, I sure hope, to that's only dependent upon me, I'm sure. The matzah is also called lechem oni, which means poor man's bread, a poor person's bread, because all it has in it is wheat flour and water. No salt, no sugar, no shortening, the matzah with the taste. And all we have to do is try to remember that if we take out this leavening is something that makes the bread rise, makes the dough rise. And we have to take that leavening out of ourselves. We have to recognize that we should not be haughty. We should not look at ourselves as being so high. We have to be, what's the word, honey? Humble. Thank you very much. And so even though during the month of, during the week of Passover, we're enjoying ourselves a lot, we also have to think a lot about how we are trying to make a connection to God all week long, the 7 or 8 day long festival of Passover. Today we will talk a little bit more specifically about the first night of Passover, but you can look up on Wikipedia to show how to learn more about the holiday of Passover. So I talked about burning the chametz. I just wanted to bring 2 pictures here. Not only will most of you who do not live in Jewish neighborhoods never really experience this yourselves, but we hope that nowhere in the world will there be chametz being burnt this year. And that, of course, is, as you can see, chametz is burnt. Usually people come together and it's a little bit of a social event. So the word social event, and unfortunately what we are experiencing today with the COVID-19 virus, you can't say that in the same breath. But I did want to show you how people simply throw, this guy over here is throwing a piece of bread onto the fire. This fellow over here is saying a ritual sentence or 2, saying that all of the chametz that is in all of the leavened products that are in my home or anywhere that they might be, they do not exist anymore after we've burned them. And here's an example of a small fire with a few bagels, maybe I see some spaghetti over there, and that's that. Joanna asked, is Passover on April 8th? Let me quickly open up a calendar here. 1 second, it's coming. We'll go to April, and we will see. Yes, today we are recording this live on Thursday, the 2nd of April. And then comes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday is the Wednesday. Whoops, what happened? Wednesday is the day before Passover, and Wednesday night is when Passover begins. So what we are discussing now, people who want to try it on their own, I'm not saying don't do this at home. I'm saying try to do this at home if you so are pulled. And that is done on Wednesday, April 8th, after the sun goes down. That is what we're talking about. The burning of the chametz happens on Wednesday before noon, before like 10 o'clock in the morning. This year, we will not be burning the Hametz. Instead, we will be probably pouring bleach over it or something like that to make it totally inedible. And then the holiday is on the 1st and not in Israel, 2nd also. So it's going to be Thursday and Friday. And afterwards, we will have the intermediate days of Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then the last day of the holiday, which is once again a moed, a feast, on Wednesday again. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. Here we are with the Seder table. Okay, so what we've got here on the table, first of all, is wine. You can see I count about 6. Oh my gosh, I see a bottle of wine by everybody. This is going to be a fun Seder. But that is because everyone at the Seder table is required to drink 4 cups of wine throughout the evening, at least. I see that Revis is already smiling. She can't wait. Okay. Of course, that is the most colorful thing that I saw on this table. And one of the least colorful things on the table is the matzah. That's over here in the middle. These you can see are what kind of matzahs, anybody? They are machine-made matzahs because they are square. Next to, okay, so I mentioned the 4 cups. And so each participant at this Seder and at every Seder has a wine goblet, because everybody needs to drink 4 cups of wine. Everybody has the book, which is the Haggadah, which I'll talk about in a moment. On most Seder tables that I have been at, we do not have the candles on the table. We put them on the side, like on a shelf somewhere, because once I was at a Seder and the candles were on the table, and we had a little candle accident over there. I don't want to dwell on that too long. That's not a good idea necessarily, but certainly there should be candles in the home and lit, and but not necessarily on the table. And the most important thing on the table here ritually is this Seder plate, this round plate in the middle, which we'll see in a moment. I think that this picture, I did not take this picture. We found it on the internet somewhere, like all the pictures today. You see that everybody seems to have this little bag next to them. I think that is a goodie bag. Deborah, if you can think of something, then please pipe up. But I think that is a goodie bag with some sort of game pieces in it or something. And nowadays it is very, very traditional. It is newfangled, but it's a new tradition that everybody tries to bring some sort of a game into the Seder. I think that the Seder is very exciting as it is, but I guess that's because I run the Seder. I'm also enjoying myself very much during my presentation here. I don't know how much everybody is enjoying themselves. I hope that you like it. But we really like to try to play games. Deborah, would you have something to say about those games? Unmute you.
Oh, different family. The idea, one of the most important concepts at the Seder is to keep the children engaged, because it says in the Torah that you should teach your child on that day. It's very important. It's even central to the whole Seder evening is teaching our children about what happened when we left Egypt, and we see ourselves as having left Egypt. So there's a lot of things that go on to keep the children interested in what's going on. And we'll talk later about questions. So in our family, for example, when somebody asks a question or says something particularly clever or says over something they learned in school, we hand out chocolate chips. Other families do other things. Some families actually have very elaborate games. If it's a Seder version of Taboo or Seder Bingo or all kinds of other creative things, those are of course all optional. But the main idea is to keep the children engaged. So if that's what's in those bags, and I really haven't the first idea, then that's what's going on there, to keep everybody enjoying it, not just because it's more fun that way, but because we want the kids to be excited to be a part of what's going on.
Yes, thank you, Devra. Somebody suggested maybe that there are dreidels in those bags. Dreidel, of course, is a Hanukkah a top or a spinning top. I gave it away when I said it's a Hanukkah top because Hanukkah is a different festival. We have Hanukkah back around December, and now we are in the springtime in April, in Nisan. So that's an idea, Deborah. Maybe we'll have we'll pull out the dreidels this week also. Yeah, glad you're laughing. Okay.
That will cause the children to ask questions, indeed.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mentioned the Seder plate. Let me see if I can move back. I'll probably this way can. Yeah. So here again is the Seder plate. This one, I think, is the kind that we have actually. It's made out of metal with little glass bowls in it. And this one is a little simpler. The glass bowls are painted onto the plate itself. And what we've got over here, I'm going to quickly go through it, but I'm going to show you some of I'm going to hopefully guess right. I have a whole bunch of links open here on top that you can see. As you can see, I'll get to them in a minute. Let's see, what have we got over here? We start with this shank bone, which is, in this case, it's a bone of a chicken. It's just a bone to remind us of the Passover sacrifice, which each family, and more than family, each group of families had to make a sacrifice of a lamb or a goat, I think. And this was, of course, in the time that the temple existed. And then that was the main part of the Seder night back in biblical days and in temple days. Today we don't make the sacrifice because we don't have a temple, but we like to have a wing bone sized reminder that there was a temple, and with God's help there will be a temple, as well as I guess Deborah mentioned, when we will merit it, and may it be speedily in our days. This egg, if I'm not mistaken, also symbolizes a sacrifice. It was the Haggadah sacrifice, the holiday sacrifice. I'm not sure if somebody remembers the better word for it. It's a sacrifice that is given on each one of the 3 pilgrimage festivals. It is a separate sacrifice from the Paschal sacrifice, the Passover sacrifice. So that's why both of those have a place of honor here on the table. Later on, we are going to be eating bitter herbs. And so here's, I think, a little bit of horseradish, which is bitter. I think that this is also horseradish. No. This is, let's move over to one of these plates over here. Here's a nice plate. I don't think I'm going to be able to move this, will I? I don't know. Let me try to, go over, yeah, I think I can. No, I can't. Yeah, there it goes. So what do we have here? We have the beitzah, which is the egg. We have the zroa, which is the bone. The maror, which is the bitter herbs. The karpas, which are unbitter herbs. The charoset, unbitter herbs, which we will talk about in a moment. The chazeret, I'll bet it says over here that you don't even really have to say it. I don't know what the difference between chazeret and maror are. And as you can see over here, there's a piece of horseradish root. And here's a piece of horseradish root, even though it's connected to here. So these guys are a little bit confused. Charoset, though, this looks pretty good. It's a mixture of apple, wine, and nuts. It symbolizes the mortar that the Jews used to make the pyramids, but it also is a little bit sweet. And we'll talk about that later, I hope. If not, then maybe in our next time. Okay, let's keep that on. This is just one of the infographics that I have on that page, root source / Seder. Okay, let's get back to our presentation. We are now finally going to get into the Passover Haggadah. As I showed you, every member of the Passover celebration table has a Passover Haggadah. I felt personally that I had to show this Passover Haggadah because this is the Passover Haggadah that all of us kids grew up with in the 60s and the 70s and maybe even the 80s. But as anybody who was at Root Source Live in Dallas last year, oh no, where'd it go? Oh man, I'm sorry, I forgot to save it or something like that. I had the newer Passover a Haggadah from Art Scroll.
Of course,
But-
that's a newer edition. The Hebrew text doesn't change.
Barely. And since Deborah, thank you for getting in. It is actually very traditional for non-traditional Jews or let me actually call it Jews who like to push the envelope of tradition to make up a Passover Haggadah of their own or add things or replace things, depending on the ideology du jour. But the Passover Haggadah text and contents that I will be presenting tonight are from like Deborah said, the traditional root source of the Haggadah. Second, that's it. So these are the Simanim of the Haggadah. These are, I guess you could call them the chapters. When we say the word chapter, we are thinking of a book, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. So this is in a book, but the book is really reflecting what we do. So each chapter is a step, I guess, in the night of the Seder. The night of the Seder. I don't think I'm pretty sure I didn't even mention what the word Seder means. Maybe Deborah mentioned it. Seder means order. And so we're trying to bring some order to the house. I guess after about 2 or 3 weeks while preparing for the Seder and the whole house was upside down, finally the night of the Seder, the house is in order. So maybe that's why they call it the Seder. But this is the Seder, this is the order of the Passover night. Deborah, maybe we will do one of the things that we like doing on Passover night, and that is sing you have to unmute yourself, I'm afraid. We will sing the Simanim of the Seder. Are you ready? I'll sing quietly. Kadeish, Urchatz,
Karpas, Yachatz.
This isn't working. So you sing, and then I'll sing the next time.
Okay. So, Kadeish, Urchatz, Karpas, Yachatz, Maggid, Rachtzah, Motzi, Matzah, Maror, Koreich, Shulchan Orech, Tzafun, Bareich, Hallel, Nirtzah. I would actually call them milestones and not chapters or waypoints, because each one of the things of the Simanim is a point where we do something in the Seder. So I would translate it maybe that way. And there are different tunes to that. People sing it. There's not one tune, and not everybody sings it. But it certainly does provide a framework for what's going on.
Thank you very much, Deborah. And let us continue quickly. So Kadeish, as we said, is the first part of the Seder. And let me try to find, here they are. Come on, where are you? There you are. These are those, let me just move my thing over. These are those, you all can see this, of course, right? And these are those 12 or so parts of the Seder. Here they are in Hebrew as well. this link I have on that page. This is the translation, which I already gave you. And the Kiddush blessing is the first part, which is what we do in the evening of every moed, every feast, every sanctified holiday. So we do that as well on the first night of Passover. And instead of only one person making the Kiddush, reciting the sanctification blessing, which is what we do on every Friday night, usually, in most families, and every other holiday, if it's Tabernacles, Sukkot, or Shavuot, or Rosh Hashanah, the New Year. On Pesach, the tradition in most families is that everybody sings it at the same time. So that is Kadeish and Kiddush. We're gonna try to go very quickly here. So if anybody has anything, sorry about that. I see that somebody thinks that I'm a little quieter. Am I any better now? So I hear you, everybody. The Kadeish is the first part of the Haggadah. Here's another example of that Haggadah. It's backwards for you, but this is where it starts with Kiddush or Kadeish. There's the word Kiddush backwards. Okay, if you can start reading English backwards, then you're that close to reading Hebrew forwards. Just kidding. Okay, so the first one was Kadeish. Then comes Urchatz. In a moment, I will explain the understood reason why we wash our hands, but we don't say this so much at night because, like Deborah mentioned before, we want to raise the curiosity of the children at the Seder, at the Passover evening. So either the leader of the Seder washes on his own or her own, or everybody washes, or everybody who wants to wash. Because right after Urchatz, we have the Karpas. Karpas is a vegetable. Two of the most popular kinds of Karpas are celery and potatoes, as you can see here. One reason given for this Karpas is that the word Karpas is made up of 4 consonants, the K, R, P, and S. If you take the S away for a minute, then you have only the KRP, which is in Hebrew sort of backwards or sideways, perach, which means hard work. And the S is the Hebrew letter Samech, which has the value of 60. So 60 years or 60,000 people had. Deborah, do you remember this? Okay, she doesn't remember it. Never mind. Forget it. Karpas is probably comes from a Greek word or something like that. And it was probably put into the Seder when the Greeks became the general culture, because I think from what I've learned, from what I've picked up, that the Greeks or maybe the Romans like to have a pre-meal appetizer. So that is really, I guess, what you could call this karpas. The picture here is the person dipping his karpas into a little salt water to remind us that things weren't also good for the Jews in Egypt. Yachatz means breaking. The word, if anybody knows a little bit of Hebrew, I would say Hebrew 102. Then chetzi means half. So Yachatz means breaking in half. And that is what we do with the middle matzah. Let me see if I can go back and show you. I don't think I'll be able to. Yeah, let's see. Nah, forget it. We can't see it on. I didn't prepare any good pictures. Maybe I got one up here. 1 second. Nope. Don't think so. 1 second. Let me move this around. Can't see it too well. This one, you got a lot of these. Yeah, these are the cheat sheet. Pretty good stuff. Yeah, here we have 2 pieces of matzah in the wrong place. Forget it. Nah, a whole bunch of things. Okay, got them. At least the leader of the Seder and often all the members of the Seder have 3 pieces of matzah in front of them. The Yachatz is when they take the middle matzah and put half of it, break it in half, and one of those halves they put aside for later. Hopefully we'll get to that tonight. Let us go on. Maggid is finally what we're here for. Maggid is the meat, pardon the expression, of the ritual of the Seder night, because it is the telling over of the story. The very name of our book, the Haggadah, there it is in English, in backwards English, yeah, Haggadah, Passover Haggadah, means telling. And Maggid, as you can probably hear, the G and the D are the most important letters of that word. The G and the D, the Haggadah, means telling over. And so now for probably about an hour, would you say, Deborah? Maybe an hour and a half, with the people at the Passover Seder Table read the Haggadah, with some of the people saying, let's skip over some, let's read it as fast as we can, and other people saying, wait a second, I learned something really interesting I want to share. So that is the most important tradition of the Seder night. Half of the people want to go faster, half of the people want to go slower, but that's the way it goes. Very much like Thanksgiving night dinner, I'm sure. So for some reason, okay, we got what we have to do here. I could have sworn that no, because what I have here on the slides is all of the Simanim, the milestones of the Seder. I'm going to switch over now to this list that I have in Maggid to go through the main sections of the Maggid. I will interrupt a little commercial break to say that I will be offering for sale PDF versions of the Haggadah. I have to admit that they're relatively advanced versions. If you want a family Haggadah like the one that I showed you, then we have a few at Shelley Jones's house in Dallas. So you can contact me and we'll see if we can send you some. But you certainly can find them on the internet. So I'll send you a link. Let me make a note for myself. 1 second. You know what? I'm going to do it right straight in over here. That's why I kept the editing over here. Just 1 second. Shnia. To order your own Art Scroll Family Haggadah. Okay, not Haggadah, Haggadah, pardon me, Haggadah. Okay, I'll add the link later. So that's where you'll be able to find it. Let me try to save this so that it doesn't get lost. Back to here. We've got here 11 steps in the Maggid. I might get back to these later. I don't really want to spend too much time in any of them. I'm going to try to give about 20 seconds on the average of each one. That'll give us about 5 minutes or so. So halachma anya, this is the bread of affliction. That is talking about, that is not a long section, but it is a section that is sometimes sung, at least in our family. It simply is introducing the star of our show. This bread of affliction is the matzah that we eat not only tonight for the whole 7 or 8 days of Passover. I say 7 or 8 days because in Israel we only have 7 days. Anywhere else, we have 8 days. I won't get into why that is right now. However, as the words halachma anya is Aramaic, which is the language that the Jews spoke in the land of Israel around the time of the Second Temple and a little bit later. But besides being the bread of affliction or the bread of poor people, it is also understood to be the bread of answering questions, because to answer a question is la'anot al she'ila, to answer a question. And so we talk about the story of Passover when this bread of affliction, when this bread of answers is on the table. After the introduction of this is the matzah, this is the bread of affliction, we go on to, let me just fix that also. This is the matzah, bread of affliction. Manishtana are the 4 questions. Traditionally, the youngest person at the Seder asks, why is this night different from all other nights? There are 4 clauses in that question. I'm so used to it in Hebrew. I'll try to remember offhand. All of the nights we eat both leavened bread and unleavened bread. Tonight we only eat leavened bread. Sorry, unleavened bread. On all other nights, we sit and eat, whether we are sitting straight or reclining. And tonight we only recline. On all other nights, we don't dip our food even once. Tonight, I've been told, said the young child, we will dip twice. We've already dipped once. We're going to dip another time. And finally, on all other nights, we eat all kinds of vegetables. Tonight, we eat bitter herbs, bitter vegetables. Already, I have a question on that, really, because the child hasn't even seen any of this stuff yet. But I guess maybe somebody decided that he should ask the question first because he's already tired, he or she. But that's when we start with we give the youngest child, and frequently the youngest and the second youngest and the third youngest, and basically every child who wants to sings those questions that they prepared for so many weeks in advance. Afterwards, the Haggadah, the Maggid, begins with Avadim Hayinu. The translation of Avadim Hayinu is "we were slaves." Right away, the very short answer. You guys might have heard the reason, the summary of every single Jewish holiday. They tried to kill us. We survived. Let's eat. That is what the Jews are used to, and that is what we said. We were slaves, but God brought us out of Egypt. And it's a short passage, so I just like to a very short passage. We were slaves in Egypt, but God brought us out of Egypt with a strong hand and an outreached arm. And if God wouldn't have brought us out of Egypt, we would still be there, slaves unto Pharaoh. That's what we have to remember, that we are thankful to God that he brought us out. Really, in that way, this night is no different than any other night or any other moment in our lives. We must always recognize that if it wouldn't be for God, then where would be we? We'd have nothing. Tonight is a different night in that we gather as a family and we agree and remind each other that this night is a different night. And we remind each other that we were slaves and God brought us out of Egypt. There are a few passages from the Talmud that talk about Rabbi Akiva and some of his friends and how they, in fact, celebrated the Seder night. And then there is an interesting and well-known story. It's not really a story, it's a teaching on 4 of the verses in the Bible. I didn't spend tonight talking about the verses in the Bible that talk about Passover, but 4 of these, or let's say that 4 of these verses were taken by the sages, took a little bit out of context, and shown that they are questions that your son or your child asks you in order for you to respond to your child that we were slaves in Egypt and God brought us out. And so in Hebrew, it is called Keneged Arba Banim Dibrat Torah. The Torah spoke of 4 sons or 4 children. And let me see if that's here in my handy dandy. I'm sure it is, but let's see if I can show it to you. Nah. Yes. No. Yeah. They don't. From here in, it's only in Hebrew. Sorry about that. So this is something that's worth looking up in Wikipedia, and let me just show it to you over here. The Passover Seder. Come on, let's see if we got it over here. The 4 sons. You got to be here somewhere. Here we are. A whole bunch over here. Back to the Maggid. We're halfway through. V'hi Shamda is a short song. I guess it's my turn to sing it, isn't it, Deborah? Okay, let me sing it to you. V'hi she'amda lavoteinu velanu. V'hi she'amda lavoteinu velanu. Shelo echad bilvad amad aleinu lechalotenu. Shelo echad bilvad amad aleinu lechalotenu. אלא שבכל נועדו עומדין עלינו לכלותנו, אלא שבכל נועדו עומדין עלינו לכלותנו, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מידם, והקדוש ברוך הוא מצילנו מידם. This stood for our ancestors and us, that not only one enemy in one generation tried to destroy us, rather in each and every generation our enemies come up and try to destroy us. But the Holy One, blessed be He, saves us from their hands. This the song I just sang a tune that is people who know a little bit more about music than me can say if it was in a major or a minor tune, but it's really both, because that is the summary of Jewish history. We're really trying to be destroyed, our whole lives and our whole history, and God doesn't just try, He succeeds in saving us. And I think that this is a song and certainly a passage that the pro-Israel Christians, the philo-Semitic Christians who are here with me in this room, and those who will be watching this, and the millions of pro-Israel and pro-Jewish Christians in the world, take this short paragraph, this 2 or 3 sentences, and take it as themselves, as their shield, because while the enemies of the Jewish people are trying to kill the Jews and destroy the Jews throughout history, it is God, through His emissaries, through His agents, that will succeed in saving the Jewish people. And I'm not going to talk about this at any more length. It is a topic that is covered very nicely by the Friends of Zion Museum in Jerusalem. It's also online, and that is something that I can already see many of the people here who are on this live recording nodding their heads, both in recognition of the tragedy, this tragedy of Jewish history, and of the Estheric, if I can use that type of thing, Esther type of a commitment that for a time such as this, our non-Jewish friends, Gentile friends, must come and stand, must recognize their own commitment to stand with the Jewish people.
then there is the part that most people who like to skip things really like to skip them, but I really love it. It is 2 or 3, like everything that I just read is maybe a quarter of a page long, but this part, the go and learn part, is my oh my. It's about 4 pages long. Here, like this, very long, and but a lot of words, and really what it is the sages taking a passage in the book of Deuteronomy, the passage that talks about the declaration of the first fruits. I hope that some people who I can see on my screen would nod because they've heard of the commandment of first fruits. And the commandment was that every farmer would bring their first fruits up to the temple and eat them there as opposed to in their own home. But not only would they have to eat them in or near the temple, they would have to approach a Kohen, a priest, I believe, and declare this declaration of first fruits. Oh, I wish I had the source here. I'll put it on. Let me write that in over here. 1 second. Don't disappear on me, Rakshnia. This is a declaration of first fruits. Okay, we'll get back to that later, of course. Let me quickly. Deborah, did you say something? Save, of course. And then we get up to the 10 plagues that I'm sure that everybody's heard of, which were what the Egyptians were plagued with. Where is it? Here they are. Ain't I lucky? They were dam, blood. I think I have them here. Let me just go through them quickly. Here they are. Sorry. Dam is blood. You can read this on your own, I hope. Sardeh is frogs. There's really not much more to say on this side. Kinim are lice. Arov, it's not really clear what they are. Wild animals or flies or who knows what. Dever is pestilence. Some people say it's a plague like we have now. Shchin are boils. Barad are hail. All this you can read about in this in Exodus. I will add the verses and chapters later. Arbe are locusts. Choshech is darkness. A Jewish tradition says that during those 3 days of darkness, as it is mentioned in the Bible, the Bible says that no Egyptian could move, but there was light amongst the Jews. God at this point was saying, I am going to put my Jewish children on one side and everybody else on the other. And that is what happened also with the Makat Bechorot, the killing of the slaying of the firstborn of the Egyptians. And God passed over the homes of the Jews, who he told to stay in your homes, while outside there is the plague going on that is killing an average of 1 person per family. A Jewish midrash, a teaching talks that this was a way that many of the Egyptian husbands or wives, I don't know, there was more than one. Yes, the Egyptian husbands saw that there were more than one firstborn in their family because so many people were dying. You could figure that out yourself, how there was more than one firstborn in a family. But really, if I can take a moment and connect this to tonight, or in our time here in April 2020, we all over the world are experiencing the plague of COVID-19. And incredulously, we are being told that the way to save ourselves is to do exactly what God told the Jewish people to do way back in the time of Egypt, and that is to stay in your homes. Make sure that you stay safe in your homes when the plague passes through. So this was a public service announcement sponsored by the CDC. Getting back to, so that is the 10 plagues. I will just show you this tab that I have of some of the songs. We sang Vihisha Amda. We sang the Seder. I will now sing the Manishtana, those 4 questions that the younger here. Here's a nice, I think I got this from Wikipedia. Some nice explanation of some of the songs. Why is this night different from all other nights? I'm not going to sing all 4 stanzas of it, all 4 verses, just the stanza or whatever it's called, the chorus. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halelot, mikol halelot, halayla hazeh kulanu misubin, halayla hazeh kulanu misubin. Okay, and a few other songs that I Bli Neder will put links to YouTube versions of all of these songs if I can find them or something like that. Okay, so that is that's not the Maggid. Let's get back to the Maggid here. 1 second. Sorry that I'm moving things around over here. After those 10 plagues, we had Dayenu, which is another song that I'll sing in a second. It's basically thanking God for about 15 wonderful things that he did, one after the other. And if he'd only done the first thing, that would have been enough. But then he did a second thing, and then a third thing, and then a fourth thing. He took us out of Egypt, and he killed our oppressors, and he buried them in the Reed Sea. And we came out on dry land, and he brought us to the land of Israel, and he gave us the Sabbath. And ultimately, and it would have been enough if he would have done any of those on their own, but instead God did all of this for us. So I will just sing the chorus of that song. Dai dayenu, dai dayenu, dai dayenu, 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 dai dayenu. Sing along. Dai dayenu, dai dayenu, dayenu, dayenu. And then Rabbi Gamliel gets stuck in there, who says that everybody has to, at a minimum, mention Pesach, the Paschal sacrifice, which we mentioned tonight or today. Matzah, which we talked about as well, and Maror is the bitter herbs, which we will get to in a moment. And to finish up the Maggid, the telling, we talk again. We pretty much finish off with the same thing that we started with. Avadim Hayinu. In every generation, they want to kill us, but we are saved. I wonder if I sang that song too early. Probably. Just 1 second. No, it's a different tune, but we're not going to sing that right now. And that is the Maggid. That took me, I think, about 10 minutes. If you go to a real Seder and actually read these things and even better understand them, then you're probably going to take a little bit more than 10 minutes for the Maggid. Back to our Simanim. In this, once we're done with the Maggid, it's time to eat. Now, we have to wash our hands again. This time for the Matzah, which is a kind of a bread. All throughout the year, whenever any Jew, traditional Jew, eats bread, then they are going to wash their hands ritually beforehand. This, by the way, is understood to be the reason why there was anti-Semitism during the Black Death, because there were less Jews, or so the non-Jews seemed to see, less Jews died than the non-Jews. So the non-Jews got upset and said, why are you guys not dying? Maybe you brought this upon us. But from what is understood is that the Jews were dying less because they were washing their hands. We mentioned stay inside your home tonight, and now we're mentioning wash your hands. These are the two main things. This is amazing. The two main things that COVID-19, the CDC are saying, do this and you will be saved. And look what the Jews and their friends are doing at the heat of this plague. We are staying inside and keeping our hands washed. Amazing. Just amazing. I'm not the first person, I'm sure, who noticed that, but I didn't prepare for that to come out tonight, but it just couldn't not come out. Right after we ritually wash our hands, we say the blessing on the matzah. Here is a nice picture of the machine matzah and the handmade matzah. And then we eat a bit of bitter herbs. This is lettuce. It's the kind of lettuce that I eat every week, almost every day. So it's not so bitter, but what can you do? I guess at some point, the Jewish tradition made the Jews a little wimpy. So we eat the not very bitter lettuce. Some have said that lettuce starts out sweet, but ends up bitter if you eat it long enough. And that's what happened to the Jews in Egypt. They went down with Joseph and everything was great. They were the family of the second in command. But after a few hundred years, they were already the bottom of the totem pole of Egyptian society. And they had very bitter lives. So not only do we eat this maror, but we say a blessing over it because God commands us in the Bible to eat bitter herbs on the night of Passover. But how does he do that? He says, you shall eat the paschal sacrifice on matzah and maror, on matzah and bitter herbs. You should eat it. Nowadays, we don't have, as I mentioned, the Passover sacrifice. All we're left with is matzah and maror, so we also eat that together as the sandwich. And that is also part of the Seder. Okay, I don't know if you guys are as hungry as I am, but it's time to eat. This is the Shulchan Orech, the set table where we eat matzah ball soup and chicken and matzah farfel and gefilte fish and a hard-boiled egg, and look up Passover Seder night menus on Google, and you'll see some of the delicious things that us Jewish people eat. And if you look up Thanksgiving menu and it's the same thing, well, don't blame me. Okay. Tzafun is when we take, as you can see here, the half of the matzah that we set aside and eat it as a dessert. It's not the most tasty sweet dessert, but the sages said that the last thing that you're allowed to eat on Seder, on Passover night, is the Passover sacrifice, so that you should have the taste of the Passover sacrifice in your mouth. And so we don't have that, so we standing in for the Passover sacrifice is a half a piece of matzah. Everybody eats a half a piece of matzah or a quarter of a piece of matzah, and believe me, that matzah stays in your mouth the rest of the night. After we finish eating that matzah, like we do at the end of any meal that we ate, any kind of baked wheat product like bread or matzah, we do the birkat hamazon, we do the grace after meals, and that is also one of the milestones in the Seder. And we're towards the end of the Seder here. Here we are with the Simanim again. Kadeish Urchatz. I'll sing it the other tune that Deborah didn't sing earlier. Kadeish Urchatz, Karpas Yachatz, Maggid Rachtzah, Motzi, Matzah, Maror, Koreich, Shulchan Orech, Tzafun, Bareich, Hallel, Nirtzah. So as you can see, we're only two away. I stuck in Shefoch Chamatcha. Let me fix that. Shefoch Chamatcha means pour out your wrath. It is 3 verses. I have it over here. 1 second. These are 3 verses from the Old Testament, from the Bible, from Psalms 79. Actually, 4 verses, 3 from the Psalms, 79 verses 6 and 7, and also Psalms 69, 25, and concluding with a verse from Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 66. I wonder if that's right. I'm not sure. I can't imagine that's a mistake, but I thought that I don't remember a chapter in Lamentations that has 66 verses. You're right. That's right. The chapter 3 is an acrostic chapter, just like chapters 1, 2, and 4. Chapter 5 is not an acrostic. Chapters 1, 2, and 4 in the book of Lamentations, each verse starts with the next letter of the Hebrew alphabet. In other words, the first verse would start with an aleph, let's say an A, the second with a B, the third with a C, etc. The third chapter of Lamentations has shorter verses, but it has 3 verses starting with A, then 3 verses starting with B, then 3 verses starting with C, etc. So you have, in fact, close to 70 verses there. I just wanted to point out this short, and today it is a somewhat embarrassing for modern Jews with modern sensitivities and sensibilities, because it seems that we're basically saying, God, please come in and destroy all of the non-Jews. That's what some Jews think that it says. It doesn't. It says over here, I think it's very clearly that the Jews are quoting the Bible, saying, please destroy the nations that don't know you and are your enemies. And the way that enmity of God manifests itself is by being the enemy of the Jewish people. And this makes sense, that even though in the past, in the very recent past, and frankly, I'm not only talking about 70 years, I'm talking about 70 minutes ago, I'm talking about currently as well, there are, from what we understand, with certain individual exceptions, maybe dozens, maybe millions, but out of tens of millions of people in certain nations, entire nations that are enemies of the Jewish people, and therefore by hashlacha, by projection, enemies of God. They might say, oh no, I love God, but no. If you hate the Jewish people, you hate their father who is in heaven. You hate God if you hate the Jewish people. You hate the Jewish people if you hate God. They go together. We are one. The Jewish people call themselves, we are one nation, but we are one with the God of Israel. And those non-Jews who stand with the Jewish people and with God are together with us in this fight. So that's that. And let us finish off with the last 2 Simanim of the night of bye Stephanie and Harrison. The last 2 milestones, the last 2 Simanim are Hallel. There are some 4 or 5 Psalms, chapters of the Psalms that we say or sing, and we drink the 4th cup of wine. I didn't mention that we drink the 1st cup of wine. I mentioned that we drink the 1st cup of wine at the beginning of the night, and then in the end of the Maggid, we drink the 2nd cup. At the end of the blessing after the meal, we drink the 3rd cup. And finally, at the end of the Hallel, we drink the fourth cup if we can bring that fourth cup of wine to our mouths and not to our foreheads or something like that. And then we sing a few wonderful songs for Nirtzah, which means we pray that our ritual here is accepted by God, and we pray that we will also say next year in Jerusalem. And I'm not going to unmute all of you because I've been doing that this week, unmuting dozens of people in a Zoom, and it doesn't sound good when everybody tries to sing together. But you can sing even though you're muted, and I will sing L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. If you know it, sing along. If you don't, then pretend to sing along. Just move your lips, and we'll believe that you sing along. L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim Habnuya, L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim Habnuya. Let us complete, before we finish off, let's go quickly through the rest of these. Where'd that come from? 1 second. Just 1 second. Let's complete the Seder with Hallel and Nirtzah. It's beautiful. The third temple is standing here, praying that next year in Jerusalem it will be the rebuilt Jerusalem. L'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I would like to unmute my friend Revis and give her the spotlight. And I will even stop sharing this for a moment. Huh, there's Revis. Does everybody see her in the front? Revis, I'm going to unmute you, I hope. Where are you, Revis? That's Raquel. Yeah, honey, wait, Revis. We're trying to find you.
How's that?
Hi,
that?
Revis. Oh, and I also
Hi.
see that Bob is here. Very good. I'm going to mute myself somehow. Deborah, I'm going to mute. It won't help if I don't mute.
No worries. No worries.
Thanks.
If you don't have a lot going on, it won't interfere. I just want to say first, Deborah, Gidon, thank you guys for doing this. I have participated in a Seder before, but not in this same way. It's like so many things were coming at me, I couldn't even take notes fast enough. So for all of you out there in video land, give me a thumbs up if you even learned one new thing today. Yeah, look, I'm going to put all of these up and put my toes in the picture. I learned so many things. I was like, wow, Gidon and Deborah, thank you. My heart is so full. And then as Gidon was going along, I kid you not, there were a couple of times I would be taking notes, and just as he would say something, I was like, oh, I just put that note down. Or I was just writing next year in Jerusalem, and he said it, and I was tempted to run, grab a glass of wine and just lift it up. And then I thought, well, I'll put on the Maccabee song, so raise your glass. Anyway, okay. So to all of you in video land, what a blessing to see you. Just precious faces. Kathleen and Jeanette and Paul. Oh my gosh, Parthenia, what a beautiful name. John, Raquel just clicked her picture. Bob, look at him. It's all just amazing. And there's hundreds of you, or at least 50 something. So this is what I want to say. I'm certain that you have heard the scripture of bless Israel and I will bless you. And there's sometimes that, I don't know, it seems so hard to conceptualize. Well, how can God bless me when I bless Israel? How do I even know who Israel is? But we know there is a land of Israel. There are people like Gidon and Deborah and those who are there. And then there are those of us who get to tag on by their coattails and be grafted in and included. What a blessing. And so as Deborah and Gidon mentioned, this is a season of forgiveness. This is a season of celebration. So I want to tell you something. My husband and I committed to celebrate by giving. And we started this years ago. We said, we're going to outgive God. Huh? There were times I had $5 to feed my family, and I stuck to that commitment. I went with scriptures that we as Christians know: trust, try, prove me, said the Lord of hosts, that I may pour out a blessing on you. I'm going to tell you, you cannot even imagine how it's transformed my life. And I want y'all to know that one of the Israel blessings I sowed into first is Gidon and his wife, and what Bob Odell and they are doing through Root Source, and what a blessing. And there have been a few others that I've chosen. And even in this season, you guys, I've driven through McDonald's and paid for the meal behind me. I've called someone that we haven't talked in a while, or we butted heads, and I've said, I just want you to know you're pretty darn amazing. I've just been trying to practice in every way that I can to receive all that he has and to pour out on others as well. I want to encourage you. This endeavor, this Root Source, the live events, the Seder event, what is going on with their website is profound. I'm a language teacher. I'm a passionate, ardent student of the word. I'm a parent. I'm many things like you guys. I have not seen, felt, or touched very many things on the face of the earth like this. It's cutting edge. It's about the future. It's about eternity. And we get to be a part of it. So I want to encourage you, whether you have $5, $50, $500, $5,000, whatever it is that you choose to give to outgive God, I want to encourage you to bless this endeavor. And don't forget those who are right there beside you. Share a piece of gum, share a ride, do something that will make a difference in forgiving and celebrating, receiving, being birthed into this nation in this period of time. It's profound. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to be a part of it. Thank you. Thank you to all of you. And with my mug that says Texas, I will raise my glass and I will say, L'chaim.
Thank you. I'm unmuted, so you can all hear me. Thank you very much, Revis. Thank you very much, Sydney. Thank you very much, Deborah, of course. Thank you. I also saw that Bob made it here. Bob is my partner and another member of the our advisory board. If anybody has any questions, then please ask them now in the chat. I'd just like to make 3 short announcements here. This Sunday, I am participating in another Zoom event from Israel. It is an update from Israel. It is going to be sponsored by the Dallas Jewish Conservatives. You can find that on Facebook, but I will put a link to it, on our Root Source /Seder page, as I will a link to Root Source Live on Zoom. If there's somebody, I see about a dozen or so people who are still with us and their video is on. If there's somebody here who is not from Texas or from the Dallas area, anybody who was from the Dallas area, some of you I recognize might have been at Root Source Live. I've been going to Texas, mostly in the Dallas area, for the past 2 years, once every quarterly. And every time I went to Dallas, I would have a symposium, a seminar of teaching, and I would call it Root Source Live. And because Root Source, of course, is the name of our organization, and it's an online organization, but we brought it live to Texas. Now we're coming full circle, and we're going to have a Root Source Live on Zoom. And I hope that all of you who were here today will be able on Sunday, April 26th. It'll be, what did we say, 1 p.m. on Sunday afternoon on Dallas time, Texas time. But I will send everybody who signed up for this information about that, and everybody else who is on our Root Source newsletter will also get information about that. Finally, as Sydney mentioned, this Root Source Zoom virtual live Seder. One second. Chat, where did you disappear to? There you are. The Root Source Live Seder is the first of the Root Source Moadim feasts teachings, and we will be teaching about the Shavuot, which is in English the Feast of Weeks, Pentecost, I think it's called in Christianese, and there are numerous other holidays before that we will be talking about, and after that. Basically, Judaism is an ancient culture, and every chance we get, we add a holiday. So there's plenty of holidays that we're going to be talking about, not to mention, of course, the basic holidays that are written about in the Bible, which we will be focusing on most. And we will be learning more about that. As Sydney mentioned, and as Revis hinted at, we are happy for you to partner with Root Source. You can read all about it, how you can fulfill your pledge. Today, you had a chance to think about it. If you want to pray about it a little bit more, go right ahead. If you already are able in your mind to make a gift, you can go right ahead to rootsource.com/gift. Let me see if I can copy that link. I sure can. And here is the link for you. Is that a link? Yeah, I think so. Let me try to make it a little bit prettier. 1 second. And the other one. Second. That's a lot prettier, ain't it? Should have put a word in between here. And we'll get that one more time. That way it's a little clearer. Very good. So please go to that site now if you can, and be one of our partners. Let me see if anybody wrote a question before that I didn't get a chance to answer. No, you Christians got to learn to ask more questions. There's a lot of grace here, a lot of gratitude, a lot of thanks, a lot of praise. And I do hope that, because I know that I tried to do a good job, but I'm sure I left a lot of more questions than answers that were answered. So we're going to finish it off over here. Thank everybody who can make it. Thank you if you're reviewing this on YouTube. I hope to get it up on root-source.com as well, and out on our website, on our blog, on our Facebook. We try to be all over the place. And with that, I will, Deborah will unmute everybody, and everybody will, in a big cacophony, be able to say thank you and shalom to Jerusalem. Unmuted. Go ahead. Let's hear you. Say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank you,
Thank
Gadon.
you. Bless you.
Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom to Israel.
Texas.
Music to my ears. Toda
Thank
rabah
you.
and good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night.
And